Failure. Now there's a word I'm sure we're all familiar with, and I'm sure we've all failed loads, over and over again. I know I personally have. But the thing is, I've come to see failure as not a failure, if that makes sense. I see it now more as part of the process, part of the journey, and something to learn from. And this can be really hard to stomach when you're in the midst of this failure. So I do understand that it's not always easy. However, I think the quicker you can digest what's happened and move over it, move past that failure and on to the next thing, the better. I mean, you've got to learn from your situations, right? Because you can't just let something have no meaning. Everything has meaning. So this failure was meant to happen so that you could learn from it and you could grow and you could progress in your life and literally step over the failure into the next phase. And then next time it will be better, and you might fail again, but you will have learned, and each step is going to take you closer to your ultimate goal of whatever that may be. So failure really isn't a failure. And to be honest, most people do just drop after that first hurdle. They give up and they think, well, you know, I failed, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But the strong person, the person who will ultimately succeed, is the person who gets up and carries on. So you need to dust yourself off, think what went wrong, see if you can work out where you can go. Or is it a complete dead duck and you need to start again with a completely new perspective, a completely new idea? It's really interesting. I mean, I've been married twice, and my first husband, when we got divorced, we weren't married very long, but when we got divorced, he took it really, really, really badly. And not because he wanted to stay married to me, but because he deemed it as such a massive failure, because he was the only person in his immediate family that had got divorced. And I found that a bit unusual because divorce doesn't really have a stigma these days. But he took it really, really badly. But, you know, I'm happy to report we're talking sort of, I don't know, 20 years ago now, maybe even more. But he is happily married with kids. So you see, it wasn't a failure. It was just something he had to go through, and he probably learned a lot of what he didn't want in a marriage and didn't want in a wife. And he's found someone probably completely different to me. And likewise, I didn't see it as a failure. I just didn't want to be married to him anymore. But I've moved on and I'm married to the absolute love of my life, and I'm very, very happy. So that's just in relationships, but you know, it could apply to anything, your career, whatever. But the point is, you know, be one of the 1% of people who actually get themselves up and get themselves going again. I mean, you don't see like top businessmen that haven't failed. They've all failed, and they've all got back up, and they've all got on with it again. And you know, they are now, you know, top of their game of their bit in the business world. Or athletes, for example, you don't get to be a top athlete at top of your game without failing. So failure isn't a fail. It's just something to take you on to the next step of your journey, and to help you reach your own potential. Because after all, we don't really learn lessons when we're feeling really, really good. When everything's really good, we just sort of fly around going, oh yeah, life's great, great, great. But it's only really when we hit the challenges of life that we think, okay, yeah, I need to do something about it. And we learn something. We learn about ourselves, we'll learn about the situation, we learn about other people, whatever it is, but we learn things when things are not going too well for us. So without these challenges, without these failures, we wouldn't move forward in life and be the person that we're meant to be. So embrace your failures, try to move on from them relatively quickly, and be the strong person. Get over that hump, that failure hump, and get on and step on to the next challenge.